But it's so many of them. It's so many of them, it didn't matter how big you were. It was more than what I had bargained for.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we'll be diving into the biggest bombshells unearthed in the Netflix documentary Trainwreck, the Astroworld Tragedy.
This was a case of ignoring blaring warning sirens.
More tickets were sold than were safe. The failures that led to the tragedy at 2021's Astroworld Festival began long before the event itself.
Live Nation got in touch with me. I knew the venue, I knew the event, I knew the politics, and I could quickly make sense of what happened.
Live Nation, the touring giant responsible for promoting the festival, allegedly sold way more tickets than the venue could handle. According to crowd safety expert Scott Davidson, the viewing capacity for the main stage, where Travis Scott performed that night, was estimated to be around 35,000, yet 50,000 tickets were reportedly sold.
And believe that there was viewing capacity for just 35,000 concertgoers at the main stage, which would mean they planned for many thousands more people than could safely view Travis's performance.
Even worse, this decision seemed to have been made without confirming whether the venue could safely hold that many attendees. This critical misstep became the first domino in the chain of events that would ultimately lead to the fatal crowd crush.
We can actually see text messages between key members of this management team expressing 50,000 people are not going to fit here.
Security guards were hurriedly hired and undertrained. For an event of this size, one would expect a professional organization to provide adequate, well-trained security personnel, but that didn't seem to be the case.
A lot of the criticism, from the tragedy, they say, is in the poor planning and understaffing of the event. As an artist, do you have any involvement in any of that?
Jackson Bush, a security guard who was interviewed in the documentary, recalled being hired mere hours before the event began.
And this all happening like literally 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, the day before the concert.
That might still have been excusable if the guards received any proper training beforehand, but it appears even that was lacking. According to Bush, they were simply told to show up at a specific time, with no formal preparation. The only direction they received came informally from other people who had apparently worked there before.
The only instructions that we had came from other workers that was working with us. And they were like, hey, they gonna rush the gates, so y'all be ready.
An overcrowded venue staffed by untrained, unprepared guards was a clear recipe for disaster. Staff lost control of the gates almost immediately. You have to remember that the 2021 Astroworld Festival was one of the first major concerts after COVID-19 restrictions began to lift, so fans were buzzing with excitement.
All of us had been locked up for so long. This was, let's go get it. It's about to go down.
Footage from the documentary shows that as soon as the gates opened, they rushed the entrances, blowing past the light security and pouring into the venue. This chaos wasn't at all unexpected, though. Live Nation had reportedly instructed its photographers to lean into the frenzy and capture the wild energy of the crowd.
We were instructed to lean into the fans and the chaos. The promo video that they put out showed footage from 2019 of the fans breaking down the fences to get in.
However, the situation quickly escalated. Some fans exploited the lax security and began tearing down fences and sneaking in. This meant many people without tickets gained access to the festival, turning an already overcrowded event into a ticking time bomb.
And to compound that, the moment they lost control of the gates, there's now an unknown number of people at the festival.
Travis Scott's history of crowd management issues. The 2021 Astroworld tragedy didn't occur in a vacuum. Beyond the major failures leading up to the event, there were clear warning signs from Travis Scott's previous shows.
Travis Scott had developed a reputation. We had seen crowd management issues at other festivals.
The rapper is known for urging his fans to rage and match his intense stage energy. This behavior has repeatedly taken a dangerous turn in the past and resulted in Scott being arrested at least twice. The first incident occurred at the 2015 Lollapalooza festival when he told fans to climb over the barricades and join him on stage. He was sentenced to 1 year of court supervision for reckless conduct.
Tonight, a performer is charged with causing the commotion that sent fans over security barricades.
2 years later, Scott was charged with inciting a riot, disorderly conduct, and endangering the welfare of a minor after several attendees were injured during a show in Rogers, Arkansas.
So there was an open space in the general admission area, so he was telling people from the seated section to come close to the stage, and it created like a riot scene, essentially.
The placement of Travis Scott's stage. The 2021 edition of the Astroworld Festival was a major expansion of the previous shows. It was planned as a 2-day event with 2 separate stages, one for the other performers and another dedicated solely to Travis Scott.
I was shocked at how big the festival had grown. There was a whole stage dedicated to just Travis. It wasn't going to be used all day.
Because Scott's stage remained unused for most of the day, nearly all attendees converged there at the same time for his performance. To make matters worse, the stage had only one prominent access point on the left side, which became the primary entry route for the crowd.
Its configuration created a trap on the left-hand side of the stage. And so the compression just built where people could not escape.
With no legible signs or proper security to redirect people toward the right side of the stage, the left quickly became overcrowded. This intense crowd crush ultimately resulted in 10 fatalities, all of which reportedly occurred on the left side.
It became overwhelming real fast. And I remember thinking to myself, what the hell is going on?
Live Nation allegedly ignored the severity of the situation. Even before Travis Scott took the stage, several attendees were already feeling the effects of the crowd crush, and it appears the danger had already been communicated to the top. Text messages obtained by the filmmakers suggest that Live Nation executives were alerted to the situation at 9 p.m., 2 minutes before Scott's set began. Despite this, the show was allowed to continue.
In all the failures of Astroworld, a common denominator is a failure to speak truth to power. There were many missed opportunities to speak up.
Crowd safety expert Scott Davidson added that Houston police became aware of the severity of the crisis around 9:30 and attempted to locate the Live Nation manager authorized to stop the show. Their efforts were, however, unsuccessful.
They were looking for the manager from Live Nation, trying to locate him and to either end the concert or delay the concert, and they could not find him.
Apparently, only 2 executives had the authority to halt the performance, but both were unreachable, so the concert raged on.
It almost made me feel like I was going crazy, like it wasn't actually happening, because surely they would stop the show. If it was as bad as it looked, they would stop the show, right?
2 concert goers tried to stop the show. The longer Scott's set went on, the more dangerous the situation became for the crowd.
I wasn't even breathing right, so I had to look up, be trying to calm my breathing down. It was a nightmare. That's the best way I could put it.
Some attendees, recognizing how badly things could end, attempted to bring the show to a halt. Aiden Cruz, who had also been trampled in the crowd but managed to find his way out, tried to draw attention to the crisis. He climbed onto the cameraman's platform, shouting at Astroworld staff to stop the show and help those in distress.
I went up the ladder to get on the camera platform. I was just yelling, "Stop the show."
Although some of the other concert goers yelled at him to quit being disruptive, a young woman soon joined him in seeking help. Sadly, their urgent pleas fell on deaf ears and were largely drowned out by the sounds of Scott's performance.
I feel like I'm helpless because I knew Bree was in that area still struggling.
Travis Scott briefly stops, then restarts the show. Around 9:42 p.m., after multiple unsuccessful attempts to halt the show, it briefly appeared like that was finally happening. Travis Scott noticed someone in the audience had passed out and paused to draw attention to them.
We need somebody to help him. Somebody passed out right here. Somebody passed out right here. Hold on, don't touch him, don't touch him.
With the venue mostly silent, many attendees began chanting for the show to be stopped, hoping they would finally be heard. They chanted and chanted and chanted. But as soon as the unconscious individual was carried out of the crowd, Scott resumed performing. Shortly after, a Live Nation manager reportedly urged an audio engineer to communicate the seriousness of the situation to Scott.
It is very, very bad. There are more crush victims than I've ever seen in my 25-year career.
But it is unclear if that message ever reached him. Meanwhile, Houston police appeared to extend the concert's runtime, allowing Drake to join Scott on stage. The tragedy was overshadowed by a wave of misinformation.
This is now a criminal investigation. We leave no stones unturned. A lot of narratives out there right now. A lot of them.
Almost immediately after news of the tragedy broke, the actual facts were drowned out by a flood of misinformation and conspiracy theories. Various social media platforms quickly became inundated with posts claiming that the music festival was merely a front for a satanic ritual and that the deaths were part of a human sacrifice. Another widely shared theory suggested that the medical emergencies at the concert were caused by attendees being injected with tainted drugs.
That's not why what happened happened. The answers are right there in front of you. We're telling you what happened. Like, why are people not hearing us?
Not only were these theories disrespectful to the victims and their families, but they also diverted attention away from the real causes of the tragedy, such as poor planning, overcrowding, and a failure to promptly address issues as soon as they arose.
The idea of a performance continuing while even one CPR in progress is underway is insane.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
No one was held criminally responsible. The Astroworld Festival crowd crush resulted in the deaths of 10 people, all of which were caused by accidental compressive asphyxiation. However, as Scott Davidson pointed out, this was no accident. It could have been prevented if the proper safety measures had been put in place.
I believe Astroworld 2021 was not an accident. It was an inevitability due to the lack of foresight and the abandonment of basic safety protocols.
In the aftermath of the tragedy, a criminal investigation was launched to determine whether Travis Scott or any of the event organizers were responsible. In June 2023, following a nearly 2-year investigation, a grand jury declined to indict Scott or anyone else on criminal charges.
We will make sure that they get justice because this should have never, ever happened.
Nonetheless, Scott has faced multiple lawsuits from attendees and the victims' families, many of which have been settled out of court.
Whoever cut the corners, that's who I hold responsible. I need to see that these people get justice and that things change.
Have you watched Trainwreck, the Astroworld tragedy? What details about the ill-fated music festival stunned you the most? Let us know in the comments.
What I did too slow or what I wish I did first. When I relive that moment, trying to change my actions, hoping for a different outcome, but it's always the same outcome.